a vampire, a werewolf, and a Frankenstein's monster. You might think that is a combination made for mayhem, destruction, and terror, the likes the world would never expect. You might even imagine the potential horrors that would ensue if such a trio ever teamed up. However, what if I told you this team of would-be monsters is more like a goofy animated Charlie's Angels than a team of supervillains? Not to mention that these monsters are really just teenagers. Superhero, monster-abilitied, crime-stopping, goofball teenagers, but teenagers nonetheless. Hey, what's up everybody, and welcome back to Macabre'Gorium Labs presents School of Boredom, a showcase of things likely forgotten. My name is Bats, and I hope you'll join me for our creepy evening as we discuss Lesson 203, Drak Pack. Dracula Gives Back.
How long it would take for you to cover this show?
Well, wonder no longer, because here we go. Produced in 1980 by Hanna-Barbera Studios for CBS in traditional Hanna-Barbera styling, Drak Pack would have a total of 16 episodes during its 3-month run. That's right, it aired for only 3 months, from September 6th, 1980 until December 20th of 1980. The Drak Pack is about a group of 3 teenagers that are either given the ability to transform into, or are, according to the wiki, the direct descendants of the original Count Dracula, Wolfman, and Frankenstein's Monster. However, this is not something they have to adapt to. It's an ability they activate by doing a 3-way high five, and they call this the Drak Whack. After which they are transformed into the mighty Drak Pack.
Drak Whack!
So bear with me, because this part might get a little muddy. There are 3 characters. First, we have Drak Jr., whom was voiced by O.G.R.E. Drakster. Fans of our channel might know his voice from various animated works from that time period. Drak Jr. is said to be the great-great-grand nephew of the Count Dracula. When in his vampire form, he does possess certain abilities, including the normal vampire tropes. He can also change into a variety of different animals, but during the episodes he primarily chooses to become a bat with a vampire head. It's also worth noting that the one thing that makes him a vampire is never done in this show. He never drinks blood, because it's a cartoon. Next we have Frankie, voiced by Bill Calloway. He is said to be the descendant of the one and only Frankenstein's Monster. I'm not sure how that works, but okay. As you might have guessed, he is super strong and can produce electricity from the bolts in his neck. All in all, there isn't too much more to him. He does not lose body parts, nor does he have various scars like the original Frankenstein. And finally, we have Howler, the werewolf, also voiced by Bill Calloway. Now, you might think this character would have some kind of super scent, or sharp claws, or the ability to hunt and attack like a wolf, and you'd be forgiven for thinking that. Because this werewolf has supersonic screams and super force breath. I'm thinking kind of like the big bad wolf from the 3 Little Pigs, you know, blow your house down. This show sets up its premise during the theme song, so I'll let them tell you themselves.
Monsters of the past comes a new generation dedicated to reversing the evil image of their forefathers. Under the leadership of none other than Count Dracula, known as Big D, 3 teenagers form the do-gooder group, named the Drak Pack. With special powers, they can transform into super mighty monsters and use their skills against all evildoers, especially the diabolical Dr. Dred and his renegade rascals Toad, Fly, Mummy Man, and Vampira, a group known as O.G.R.E, the organization of generally rotten enterprises. It's right versus wrong, good over greed, niceness against naughtiness. That's the dedication of the terrific trio, Frankie, Howler, and Drak Jr., the Drak Pack.
But it does confirm the setup in episode 2, when Dracula, or Big D as the group call him, states the following.
You're supposed to make us look good. Excuses. I'll recover those artifacts and all that good stuff and clear our bad name. Keep this bungling.
So as far as basic plot, you figure they'd have to go up against villains, stop crimes, or make up for misdeeds, right? Nope. Every episode of the show sees the team going up against the same villains, Dr. Dred and his cohorts. Matter of fact, let's take a look at them now. So the show only had one main villain, at least as far as we can tell, and that villain was Dr. Dred and his evil company of goons called O.G.R.E. or O.G.R.E, or the Organization of Generally Rotten Endeavors. I kinda like it. Dr. Dred is one of the goofiest villains ever, with his main goal being to first mess with the Drak Pack, then after he succeeds in that, move his diabolical plans onto the whole world. He is voiced by the legend and voice acting veteran Hans Conried, who you might know as the voice of Snidely Whiplash from Rocky and Bullwinkle's Dudley Do-Right segments. He is always saying the name of the Drak Pack incorrectly, and while we're unsure if he does this on purpose, somebody on screen always corrects him.
Whether they want to or not, Pack. That's Drak.
Dr. Dred wouldn't be alone for his nefarious schemes. In fact, he had a whole team of goofy tryhards at his disposal, including a minion named Toad, voiced by the legendary Don Messick. Fly, a giant fly monster, also voiced by Don Messick. Mummy Man, a huge mummy and an obvious parallel to Frankie. And Vampira, a lady vampire that has most of the same abilities as Drak Jr., with the addition that she's a bit more bumbling. Each episode has the titular team going about their day when they get interrupted by Big D with some sort of mission, a la Charlie's Angels.
Count Dracula, or Big D, by the way, was voiced by Alan Oppenheimer. He has a pet spider that is often the victim of his carelessness, and he's the leader of the Transylvania Retired Spooks, Spectres, and Spirit Society.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. After all, we're only human, right? It seems like every time Big D delivers a mission to the team, he always seems to slam his hand in his coffin before signing off, which is a running gag throughout the series. Another important character to the team was the team's car, the Drakster, and let me tell you, this thing was bad. Go, why the am I being censored?
Because you know you can only talk like that on a school run after midnight.
You're right, now's as good a time as any for intermission.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
Originally, we were going to put School of Boredom After Midnight here on the channel, or over on Bouts from the Grave. However, after some meetings and some interaction with fans, we decided we're going to save the School of Boredom After Midnight lessons for our Patreon when we launch it. We're also going to have really awesome perks and some pretty cool stuff going on once we get it all figured out, so be sure to stay tuned for when that happens. As for Bats from the Grave, we're going to be making new videos for that channel, like lists, scary stories, and we're even going to be putting the Mr. Bats World artwork videos over there, as well as turning that into a recurring series. Things are about to get real busy here between the two channels. And yes, I know we run a gaming channel, but here you can still get all of your School of Boredom needs met in one place. But more on that as it develops. For those that do not know, School of Boredom After Midnight is a darker, more mature series where we will talk about things not suitable for some people. Now, back to the video. Intermission over. Sorry about that.
And now, back to the show.
I didn't get to mention that aside from looking awesome, the Drakster could not only fly, but act as a submersible vehicle too. Most of the stories involved in this show were fun and really silly, and here are a few examples before we wrap up. In the first episode, Dr. Dred invents a ray that removes color from almost anything, so naturally he sets out to mess with the pack. Later, he shrinks a full-size train and uses it to sneak into Fort Knox. At one point, he creates a theme park with dangerously flawed rides, cotton candy made of real cotton, and toys that self-destruct. I'm telling you, that sounds like my kind of place. Wrapping up, this show was a ton of goofy fun, and I definitely had a blast watching a bunch of episodes after all these years. Big shout out to Ubi Tunes here on YouTube for uploading all the episodes for everyone to enjoy. There's a link to his channel down in the description, so be sure to go check him out and tell him MG Lab sent you. But if you prefer home video, they did release Drak Pack the complete series, all 16 episodes, on DVD on February 5th, 2008 in Canada and September 6, 2011 in the United States. We'll leave it up to you to track those down, but either way, you can see this show for yourselves however you want. And with that, I suppose we've come to the end of another School of Boredom lesson. My name is Bats, and this has been Lesson 203, Drak Pack, Dracula Gives Back. Be sure to check back next time because you never know what we have in store, and as usual, think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and of course, keep it creepy. Really? I can't say oh yeah, well how about fuck? Hey, thanks for checking out our video. If you enjoyed this one and would like to see more of our weird, creepy, odd, eccentric, or strange content as soon as it comes out, please feel free to click like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more. We'll see you later. Keep it creepy.